Hi everyone. Today we'll discuss the topic, what's the difference between religion and spirituality? So what I'm presenting to you are my perspectives on both religion and spirituality. Okay. So here are a few aspects that I put together, 6 aspects, a good comparison between religion and spirituality. So let's see the first one, structure versus personal experience. So, from my perspective, religion is, I look at it as an organized system of beliefs, practices, rituals, and to some extent, hierarchies followed by a particular community. It has usually doctrines. You have sacred texts, ceremonies, places of worship, and also clergy or priests, that we say. Whereas if you look at spirituality, it's more individualistic, personal, and therefore less structured. What we give importance to, or rather, the concept of spirituality focuses on individual experience, inner growth, and connection with a higher power, the universe or your higher self. Some people can call it God, but then whatever you want to call it, it's more personal. The second comparison that I want to do is external versus the internal guidance. Now, religion often involves following certain teachings, traditions, authorities. Especially, let's say we have monks and priests, teachings from scripture. So there is some amount of following required of these teachings and the authorities. Whereas, so the guidance come from those aspects. Whereas spirituality, it encourages self-exploration because we said it's based on personal experience. So largely spirituality encourages self-exploration, personal insights, and direct experience of the consciousness. Usually that's what people say of higher consciousness, or what you may want to call as divine. Now, moving on to the third aspect is rules and freedom, rules versus freedom. Religion, usually because it has structure, as we said earlier, it usually has specific moral codes, commandments, or rules guiding how one should live. Typically, the set of rules come from the doctrines, or it also can be some ethical guidelines. Now, spirituality, whereas because it's personal, it's more flexible and it allows individuals to develop their own path based on their experiences and beliefs. It's more flexible, it's more open ended. It allows for personal interpretation, personal exploration, and the practices, therefore, are very self directed, such as meditation, mindfulness, and personal reflection. Fourth aspect that I want to compare is the community versus individual journey. So in a way, I'm saying the same thing when I say personal journey, but let's first understand religion. So religion, because it's structured and it has got guidelines, it's got sacred texts, it's got rules, it's practiced therefore within a particular community, fostering shared worship, collective identity. It involves a community of believers, right? And then if you look at spirituality, because it's personal experience and internal and more individualistic in nature, it's more solitary, focusing on self-awareness, meditation, inner peace. Primarily, it's an individual journey, and the focus is more on personal experience and growth. That said, these days, just to encourage these practices, there are people who group together, who come together in a particular place, and they do mass meditation and stuff like that. But to follow the guidelines that come under spirituality, you necessarily don't need a community because it is a very, very personal journey. The next aspect that I want to highlight is the goal itself. What's the goal of religion versus what's the goal of spirituality? So, religion often aims at salvation or heaven in certain religions, or a promised afterlife, usually through faith or through good deeds. Religion often aims at providing a comprehensive framework of life for life, including moral guidelines, explanations for existential questions. You find those in some texts. Usually a path to salvation or to enlightenment. Again, depending, it differs from religion to religion. Whereas spirituality that seeks more enlightenment, spirituality helps people seek enlightenment. And if you look at the word enlightenment, there is a word called light, which means anything that throws light on, anything that clarifies, anything that, because of the light, if it breaks the darkness, that's what I mean by enlightenment, not, like a light bulb goes on your head, or it doesn't mean nirvana per se, because it evades, it destroys the darkness and pours more light into it. I chose to use the word enlightenment, and therefore more self-realization, a direct connection with, as I said earlier, with the consciousness or the divine self, often through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and even some energy practices. It focuses more on personal transformation, self-awareness, and anything, a direct experience of the divine, however one wants to define it. Finally, the last one is something that I want to emphasize on: fear versus the approach itself. Religion sometimes can use fear, like, or punishment, like hell, and sometimes people misinterpret and talk about bad karma, etc., as motivation to stay connected, right? So I'm not saying religion will use, religion may sometimes use, and we have seen many religions use fear as an approach to drive whatever it wants to drive. Spirituality focuses usually, on love, unity, raising one's vibration beyond the fear-based thinking. It emphasizes on personal quest for meaning, how the connectedness, purpose, and the overall connection with the universe. Now, both religion and spirituality can coexist. That's what I want to emphasize. Many spiritual people follow a religion, and many religious people are deeply spiritual. So it is not mutually exclusive. However, what I want to highlight is that spirituality is broader, it's more inclusive, it allows a direct personal connection with the divine beyond religious frameworks. Now, when we talk about religion and therefore spirituality, because I said it can coexist, how do we find balance between the teachings from religion and spiritual practices? I thought of putting about 8 aspects. It requires this balancing act requires a very open-minded and heart-centered approach. And here are some ways that I would recommend to integrate both. Seek the essence and not just the rituals. So religion often has structured rituals, but their deeper purpose is spiritual growth, and it focuses on understanding the wisdom behind the religious teachings rather than just following them mechanically. For example, if a religion emphasizes prayer, explore how it connects to the higher consciousness rather than just repeating words mechanically. Using religion as a guiding framework and not as a limitation. Religious texts and traditions offer valuable insights, but it should not restrict, it should not cause any boundary for anyone for their spiritual exploration. So keeping an open mind, learning from different philosophies, scriptures, and practices while staying true to your own personal experience is what I would recommend. The third thing is practicing mindfulness and direct experience. Now, spirituality thrives on personal experience, and whether through meditation, contemplation, or visualization techniques, or any energy practices. So even within religion, direct spiritual experiences such as surrendering, devotion, or deep meditation can create, I think, deeper connection with the divine. The fourth aspect is emphasizing universal truths over dogma. Now, most religions share common values. That's what I've observed, like love and compassion and truth, humility, selflessness. So, focusing on these universal teachings rather than rigid interpretations would help. Avoid getting caught up in debates over religious superiority. Instead, seek wisdom in all traditions. So, therefore, respecting tradition but adapting to inner growth is what I would say. So, it's okay to follow religious traditions that resonate with you while also exploring new spiritual practices. If a ritual or a belief doesn't align with your inner growth, reflect whether to modify or let go of it while keeping respect for its origin. Question, reflect, and evolve. A fear-based approach always, does not allow anybody questioning, right? So how do we rise above the fear-based beliefs and start questioning? Spirituality encourages questioning and self-inquiry. Reflecting on religious teachings with an open mind would help, but a discerning mind. With an open but discerning mind is what I would recommend. Instead of blindly accepting beliefs, ask questions like, does this help me grow? Does this belief condition me in any way? Does it limit me? Does it bring me closer to the divine understanding? Does that expand me as a person, as a conscious being? Yeah, so ask questions and reflect and evolve. The seventh aspect is moving from fear-based to love-based practice, as I was saying early. Many religious interpretations focus on fear, like sin and punishments and karma. I would say these are incomplete interpretations, often to take away power from who we really are. So, shifting your focus toward love, self transformation, and unity within yourself, within the divine, is what's recommended. So, spirituality teaches this that divinity is within, and religion often provides a path to discover it, but we should realize that whatever we are searching for is not outside of us, but it's within us. So finally, balancing personal and collective practices is what I would highly recommend. Religion often involves community worship, while spirituality can be deeply personal. I would say balancing both, engaging in communal practices for connection with the society and personal practices for inner growth, and finding that balance is what I would highly recommend. So ultimately, spirituality helps one experience what religion teaches. Religion can be a map, but spirituality can be the actual journey. The key is to stay open, authentic, and deeply connected to your own soul's path. Now, what I want to now leave you with is this interesting phenomenon that I have seen even in myself. Interestingly, now I'm more aware of it. I see here that I'm not religious, I'm more spiritual. Now, what does that really mean? When I started reflecting on that, because I used to say, I don't say that any longer. When I say I'm not religious, I'm more spiritual, I find when I reflected on that, isn't that itself a very egoic thought? Everyone is spiritual. If you have a spirit in you, I think everyone is spiritual. Yeah. Because the word spirit, ultimately, if you go to the etymology of the word, that means to breathe. So if you are a breathing, living being, then you are spiritual by default. So, how do we grow, rise above this egoistic, mentality without unknowingly, very innocently, we say that. And I want to leave you with this thought. So, what is spirituality? When I say, what is spirituality? So, spirituality, according to me, it's my perspective, is staying true to one's spirit, which means to my soul's purpose, and being authentic to oneself, to myself, to yourself. And, truth is expensive. Yeah. and truth can leave us, stand naked. That's what Khalil Gibran says. A truth can walk naked, but a lie always needs to be dressed. So understanding the events in our life, the cause and effect patterns, that's the first step. I would say that's what awakening is. That's the first step to the awakening. So when the ego mind recognizes that spirit is in control and the soul has always been in control, that's when we have that sudden awakening. And this awakening of the soul is from this illusion of separateness. This means that we start perceiving reality beyond this ego-based, materialistic limitations and the need for validation, the need for others to love me, respect me, and all those, limitations, and the need for any such external validations. So spiritual awakening is the process of becoming aware of our true nature beyond this physical body, beyond this mind, beyond this ego. And it's an inner shift where we recognize ourselves as a soul, being a consciousness, rather than just this individual ego-based identity, often shaped by our society, conditions, conditioning, programmings, and even past experiences in this lifetime or previous lifetimes. This awakening is what we call, what is truly that spiritual journey, right? Religion can support it. So when I say I'm more spiritual, if that means that you have that awakening in you, even if it's a gradual process, if it is leading to deeper understanding of existence, if it is helping us connect to the universe and align and be aligned to the highest truths, that is what being spiritual means. So spiritual, as I was saying earlier, is staying true to one's spirit and being authentic to oneself. I hope this video made some sense to you. Thank you so much for listening.